Hello, everyone. This is another episode of Fire Breathing Rob. Please like, subscribe, and also share these videos on YouTube. They're with a lot of amazing people that have done amazing things, or they actually have a real good message to tell. So we thank people for doing that. This is Phil Malenczak. He was a New York City firefighter, and we're going to talk about not only firefighting, but also prostate cancer. And I saw your story with you and your brother Phil, also in the Men's Health magazine, which I get religiously, and I really was interested in the article, and I'm sure the audience will really enjoy that. Paul, thanks so much for coming on. Greatly appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, so Paul, let's talk. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about you?
I'm six. I just turned 69 years old. I got on the fire department in 1973. I was just out of college, and I had taken the test a couple years earlier for the New York City Fire Department, and I got called while I was I got called for my medicals and physicals just before I graduated college, and funny enough, I got out of college on a Tuesday. I got sworn in the fire department on that Friday, so I went right from college. I was out of work for one day, went right into the fire department, and loved every minute of it.
That's very impressive. So I want to go back to a little bit in grade school, because we got to talk about we got to talk about this grade school, high school too. You do have an identical twin brother, and if people that know Phil and Paul through the article in Men's Health and through knowing them in general, we want to talk about that because there are not too many identical twins in the world in general. So could you talk about that? Is it true, like you have a sense of what your brother's thinking and doing? Is that true?
Oh, there's no question about it. It was great growing up, having a twin brother because you never had to never had to leave the house and knock on Johnny's door. Can Johnny come out and play? Phil was always there. We always had the same interest in sports and recreational things. So we were always there, between us and our friends. We always got along. It was great growing up. Great time to grow up.
Right. So Paul, let's talk about this. So when you were in school, did either you or Phil get away with more, or how did the teachers tell you guys apart? Because
we did get away with, we got away with some stuff, but we would occasionally switch classes. We would let one of the teachers know we were going to switch, and and then we would switch, and all the kids knew, but the teacher didn't know. So they would right away start asking the teacher, why don't you ask Phil what's what the answer to this question is? And I have no idea what the question is. So it was they had a lot of fun with it. It was fun times. It was good.
And I'm sure it could be fun. So you just spoke a little bit about right after graduating college, you stepped right into being a firefighter. What made you want to become a firefighter in general?
When we were in high school, we kind of got into it a little bit, following the volleys and stuff. And then when we were in college, we all played sports in high school. So there was a whole group of us that were interested in joining the volunteer fire department out here in Massapequa, Long Island. And it was an older company. They wanted to get a bunch of the young blood in there. So a bunch of us joined the volunteer fire department. And one of the fathers of one of the fellas that came in with us was a city firefighter. And we were just sitting around the firehouse one day, and he came in and he said, "Here, back in the day, you just had to fill a postcard out. Fill this postcard out." We said, "What was this for?" He said, "Well, to become a New York City firefighter." We went, that's not a bad idea. We never, at that point, I was still in school, and I had no career aspirations or anything. So I said, "Yeah, sure." We all filled the cards out, took the test, and we took the test. And like I said, I got appointed right after I got out of school. But and so I got on the job in '73. Phil got on the job a little bit after me. When I got on the job, I had just been on the job a year and a half, and they had the fiscal crisis in New York City. So they had to lay off cops and firemen and stuff. So I was laid off for a year and a half, and then I came back in '77, and I think Phil got on the job in '78. So we were both on the job at the same time.
This is Paul Malenczak. He was a New York City firefighter, and we're going to, as we get into the interview, talk about prostate cancer, the brotherhood, long-lasting friendships, the camaraderie, because you're all going through this together as a fireman. You get all these calls, and some can be, easy calls, and a lot of them are probably tough calls, whether it's, saving somebody's life in a fire, saving somebody's life that could have took a heart attack. Can you talk about that brotherhood and the camaraderie, and does it really last forever?
No, it is a huge family. There's no, that's why we call each other brothers. You know, and it still goes on to this day. I still have friends that I stay in touch with, even though I'm out of the job. Well, I got hurt on a job when I was I only did 10 years on a job. I get injured, but I still stay in touch with a couple of the older guys, and it's you know, whenever you get together, you know, the smoke banks down a little bit in the room, because you know those fire stories just get better and better as you every time you tell them. So, but it was an exciting job. The adventure was a part of it, and it was just you know, like you said, you never went to the same fire twice. You never went to the same water leak twice. You never went to the same gas leak twice. It was the adventure part was just so exciting.
Tell the viewers a little bit about the daily issues as a firefighter that you go through, and also working with EMTs.
You know, it's a little bit different now than it was when it was back in the day. Back in the day when I was on a job, the EMTs in New York City, they weren't part of the fire department at that time. They were mostly hospitals and stuff. Later on, after I retired, then that's when they came under the auspices of the New York City Fire Department. But we always worked together. There's no question about it. You know, they were there to help us, and we were there to help them. Any way we could help them, you know, extricate someone from a car, or you know, or just get them out of a building so they can work on them. And then if we ever got hurt, those guys were always there to take care of us. So we worked hand in hand. We had a great working relationship.
Right. Can we talk about the gas attack in 1982? I think that was a big story. I know you covered it in Men's Health.
Yeah, that was the job I got hurt at, and that was the last run I ever took. We were just taking up from another call, and we got in the rig. The lieutenant said, "You want to take another run?" And we said, "Sure." So we ran up, and my position was the outside vent man that day. So my job was to go up the front fire escape. When we rolled up, I could see there was a light smoke condition coming out of a broken window on I believe it was the second or third floor. I don't remember. So I dropped the ladder to the fire escape, went up the fire escape, took the window out, and I was making this. It was just about dark at the time, and I made a quick search. There was nobody in the apartment. I heard the forcible entry team at the front door, and so I opened up the door for them, and so they came in. It was a light smoke condition. I took my mask off. The lieutenant said, "Yeah, take it off." So we're just working around, just venting the building, and little did we know that there was the smoke was from a smoke grenade that somehow someone got hold of, and they threw it into the apartment to smoke the person out for some reason. But I didn't see it right away. I didn't see it at all. And when I got outside, myself and another guy, one of the forcible entry team, we were having trouble breathing. Every time we inhaled, we would cough, and it just was. I didn't feel right, and so I told the lieutenant. So we both went to the hospital nearby, and they examined us. They kept us overnight, and then they were taking blood gases to see what was going on, and the other fellow went home like 2 days later, and like 3-4 days later, I was sent to intensive care. So not knowing what I breathed in, and I was in intensive care for. They transferred me from the hospital in Brooklyn to Bellevue Hospital in New York, and I spent a week in intensive care, and then another 3 weeks in the hospital, and then the job said I could never go back to work again, which broke my heart, but you know, it probably saved my life at the same time.
Let's talk about this as the main issue of the interview that I wanted to get to with the prostate. Can you talk about that? You know, young guys like me, you know, I don't really know much about that issue. Can you talk about how you knew you had an issue with your prostate, and how you knew it was time to be tested in general? Because a lot of guys that are young guys, we don't even know any of that stuff.
That's very true. I didn't know about it. I was diagnosed a couple years ago, and I had a general practitioner. He retired, so I got this new doctor, and you know, we're just getting the background check. So she took some blood tests and stuff, and she called me back like a week later and says, and have you ever had your PSH taken? I'm going, I don't even know what PSA was. She says, well, it's indication of prostate cancer. So I went right away, I said, uh-oh. So she said, your PSA is high. And I'm going, well, what's high? She says, well, normal is a 4. Anything 4 and below is good. And mine was like a 14.4 or something like that. And she says, it's high. She says, I want you to go to a urologist and have a biopsy done on your prostate. I'm going, what the heck is going on here? And like you said, nobody really knows about it. And all it is, Rob, is a blood test. It's that simple. You just go to your doctor and you say, Doc, I want to have my PSA checked. And he'll say, okay, fine, boom, it's a blood test. You get the results 2 days later. And it just gives you peace of mind. And like I said, I was just totally blown away by the whole thing. And went to NYU Hospital in New York, and they did the urologist there did the biopsy, and then the treatment. And then when he got the results, he gave me 3 options how to care for the prostate cancer. And there's one, and the best one for me was it's a treatment called CyberKnife. It sounds like it's a surgery, but it's not. It's a radiation, and it's also done by NYU, not at the hospital in New York, but the hospital in Mineola, New York. And it's a very, very simple treatment. It's 5 treatments for an hour each treatment. It's 5 days in a row. There are some dietary things you have to take care of, and other things you have to take care of. But and it's so simple, and you get done in 1 week, and very, very few side effects, and it's amazing the treatment that they're doing now. It's the easiest way. If not every prostate patient can have that treatment, because you don't know how far along it is, where the tumors are located on the prostate, how many tumors there are. Mine was pretty easy. Phil's was a little different. He had to have testosterone treatments and to shrink his prostate before it was done. Then he had the CyberKnife as well, and he's on the road to recovery as well. So it worked out great for the both of us.
Well, the thing that scares me is, reading up about this for the interview, because like I said, I'm, in my late 20s, I don't think about prostate cancer, but, I'm reading a lot about prostate cancer being increased in younger men that are my age and even younger than that. So have you heard about that? And why do you feel that is?
Well, I've done my research on it after I read more about it. It can be genetic. In our case, it wasn't. I don't know if anybody in your family's ever had it. Excuse me, but it can be genetic, and it's just something. My personal view is, see, when I was, after I retired from the fire department, I worked as a bartender, worked in a bar owned by New York firefighters, and I worked with that, and it was 2 blocks from ground zero. And I was there when the attacks happened, and I lived down there like for a year and a half afterwards. And there were so many people who lived and worked down there that came down with different kinds of cancers, lung cancers, testicular cancer, prostate cancer. I attributed it to I figured that may have been the cause. But now, where Phil was retired before 9/11 as well, and he didn't live or work down there, but now he's diagnosed with prostate cancer. So there's really no reason why you could. Like I said, I attribute it to that, and then when Phil got diagnosed, then I said, well, wow, how did that happen? So I don't know. Like I said before, if you're concerned about it, all it is a blood test, and it's that simple.
Paul, do you think it's because you guys were identical twins? Did the doctors say anything about that could have been the reason why you both got it?
They never said anything, but I think that got the wheels turning to see that they may look into that and say maybe it could happen. But they didn't say it would necessarily meant that just because I had it, and Phil was my twin, that he would get it. But I don't think, to me personally, I don't think it had anything to do with it. But who knows? It may have. I don't know.
And I know you're not a doctor, but I do have a couple questions. Since you have had prostate cancer, you're a survivor, so you don't have to give the correct answer. But just as a person that's been through this, you may know better than somebody like me. When do you feel like men should get tested?
They say over 50. You know, the common thought is if you're over 50, you should have your prostate checked. But like I said, if you feel comfortable, if you don't feel comfortable, just say, man, let's go, just so you get it out of your mind. And now you have peace of mind. You had the test taken. You said, nah, yours is a 2, you're fine. Yours is a 3, you're fine. So anything over that, they'll say it doesn't necessarily mean there are, excuse me. It doesn't necessarily mean that because your PSA was high, that you had cancer. Like this, the practitioner, I mean, my doctor said that, she had people whose PSA level was 25 and they didn't have cancer. So it's an indication of what it could be. But if, like I said, if you just want peace of mind, just go and have it done. It's a needle in your arm, bam, you're done in 5 minutes.
This is Paul Malenczak, and he is a New York City firefighter and also a prostate cancer survivor. And also, thank you for your service. We can't say that enough as being a firefighter. And as you spoke about, even through these tough times of coronavirus, I know the firefighters are as busy as the nurses and doctors. Too, so we thank them for that. How are you advocating rather for getting tested and making sure that we catch this disease early before it gets to be a real problem where it could get extremely serious?
Well, you saw the article in Men's Health magazine. NYU put out an art. They came to our house out here on the end of Long Island, and they took photos of it and stuff. If you want to look, I think you can go on the NYU website and find out about it. And then actually, we just talked this morning about the possibility of doing a commercial for NYU, and they would do a photo shoot with Phil and I, and we would discuss we would go into, I'm sure we don't know exactly yet, but we would go into some discussions about prostate cancer, and I think it's just they can see that even though we're 69 years old, we still live a very active life, and shows that just because you had prostate cancer and you had treatments and stuff, life keeps on going. And I feel better. I mean, I'm doing everything now than I did before I had the cancer and the treatment.
I appreciate the interview and thank you for your service. This is Paul Malenczak. He was a New York City firefighter and prostate cancer survivor. Paul, thanks so much for your time. Greatly appreciate that.
My pleasure.